Hi guys, it's Molly. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be filming my March wrap-up and I managed to read a total of 4 books. So the first book that I read was Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. I quite enjoyed it. I rated it 4.4 out of 5 stars. It's an urban fantasy about angels and chimeras where they're enemies and there's war in that world, but there's also the human world as well. And basically this girl named Karu, she has 2 lives, one with the human world and one with the chimeras. With the chimeras she has to collect teeth for them, so she goes like all around the world and stuff, and with the humans she goes to art school or something like that. I don't really want to give too much about this book because you kind of have to go into it without knowing what it's about, but basically it has a lot of magic and history and a lot of things about the past and the present and things like that. It's actually not my usual kind of fantasy. I don't really like urban fantasy that much and things with angels and resurrection, and I don't know, it's not really my kind of thing. But I actually quite enjoyed this one. I thought that the romance was really nice, and I mostly enjoyed it because I thought the writing was just brilliant. It was just so elegant and really well placed, and just I was really blown away by the writing, and the writing was what made the plot really good, and the way that the story was told was just really good. And I actually laughed aloud for the first few chapters. It was just so funny. Unfortunately, I tried picking up the second book and it was a bit slow, and maybe I wasn't really in the mood to continue, so I decided to take a break from the second book, and I'm probably gonna pick it up a lot later. But yeah. The second book that I read was Bitter Blue by Kristen Kishore. It's the 3rd book in the Graceling Realm series, and unfortunately I didn't really enjoy it that much. I thought that it lacked a lot of plot and romance, and it was just not as good as the first 2 books that I really enjoyed. And just, I was actually genuinely disappointed. I rated it 3.5 out of 5 stars. I actually listened to it on audiobook, so maybe I was just distracted and I couldn't really concentrate on what was happening. I'm not sure, but I really enjoyed listening to Fire, so I don't know, maybe the book was just not that up to par with the first 2 books. So, but if you're trying to just find out what happens to the old characters and stuff, then go read it. It's actually quite nice to find out what happened to Poe and Katla and Gideon. You even find out a bit about what happens to Fire from the second book. So yeah, I enjoyed those parts at least. The 3rd book that I read was Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I actually filmed a whole review for this book. You guys can check it out in the description box below. I'll put the link. And I really enjoyed it. I rated it 4.8 stars. And it was just so good. It was nothing like anything I've ever read before. Maybe because I'm not really a gamer, so I haven't really read books about those kind of things, but it was just so good. I think it will make it to my top 10 this year, and I would recommend it to anyone who likes like an adventure. I mean, even if you're not a gamer, even if you're not born in the 80s and you don't get those 80s pop culture references, I think you would still genuinely really enjoy it. So give that one a go. And the last book that I read was Finnegan of the Rock by Meleda Marchetta. I actually just finished this book like 2-3 hours ago, and I really loved it. This one was recommended to me by Suraya, who freaking forced me to read it. This is actually her copy. She gave it to me to borrow and, you know, make sure that I understand why she raves about it and why she hypes it and everything. And I think I finally do understand why Suraya has been telling everyone to read this book. I think I would recommend it to everyone who loves high fantasy books. What's so nice about this book is that the writing is actually quite unique. I mean, it's written in a 3rd-person perspective, and for a while it didn't really work for me because the author didn't really describe things as well as I would like her to. But I don't know how, somehow the way that it was written just works, and I ended up really being attached to the characters, even though, you know, you don't really get to hear their thoughts and things. But it's one of those books where you can't read it halfway and expect it to be great. You have to read it throughout, and that's when you can click things together and it just sort of makes sense, and you're just like, oh my god, this is so good. There's just so much feels in it, and I'm still overwhelmed by what happened, and it's just so good. And Soraya, I hate you for not giving me the second and third book as well, because now I can't continue and just have to suffer through the weight of getting the second and third book. So those are all the books that I read in March, and I also want to show you guys the books that I got. I got the Book of Ivy and also the Revolution of Ivy from Borders. I've heard about the Book of Ivy and I heard it was pretty good, and so when I saw this and the covers are just gorgeous, I'm like, I have to take it. And yeah, I'm hoping to read this sometime soon. But these are dystopian books, and yeah, if anyone has read it, please tell me if it's good. That will really motivate me to actually start reading it. So yeah. So that's all for me for today. I hope you guys enjoyed my wrap up. Tell me what books you guys read this month and which ones you enjoyed, and if you've enjoyed any of the books that I read, let's discuss about it. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!